My teaching career started in a small place called Varda, where I visited a German convent, and my interaction with the Mother Superior there landed me with a job in that school, and that's how my teaching profession began in the year 1988. I started teaching class 3, and I moved on and grew up in that school called Agrigami Convent today, which is supposed to be one of the best convents in Varda, having its own branch in Hinganghat also. In 1991, I came to Thane to look out for admission for my daughter, and that was my first step into this lake city of Thane. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was the year Rajiv Gandhi died, and that year the schools opened late, and Saraswati Vidyalaya, Singhania School, A.K. Joshi School, SES Pachpakadi were some of the reputed schools that time in Thane. So I was actually on the lookout for admission for my daughter, and that's how, during the course of an interview with Mrs. Kordi, that I was given this job. I was given a job of a teacher at Rabodi School in the year 1991. I started my teaching profession in Thane as a preschool teacher, and today I have moved, or I could say I have climbed the ladder of education and reached this post, which is supposed to be the pinnacle for any person who wants to bring about change in the field of education, because this post does give you a lot of freedom. I have been in this field for 28 years now, and 24 years I have been associated with Saraswati Vidyalaya. I had fallen sick during my board exam, 1977 12th board exam, because of which I slipped into depression, and my father felt it was necessary for me to get out, because I was the CR of the class in my junior college. Leadership qualities were there already in college, because I was a very good speaker, very good debater. Extempo speeches was my forte those days. Not prepared speeches, because I don't like to read out what I write. I always speak from my heart and never from what is prepared. Every speech of mine is very different, because I speak from my heart basically. So during those days, I was forced to get out of the house, because my father felt I was becoming a recluse. I fell sick with chickenpox, which led to bronchitis, and I was in bed for almost, you can see, a year, because I had severe relapse. And because of that, I felt I lost out on my year of my 12th standard. I missed my board, and so I felt that my father felt that I needed to go out. So I cleared my boards, 12th standard boards, in October. I did my telephone operating, then I did my typing, stenography, something to keep myself occupied. And my first interview was as a receptionist in a computer concern. So I started interacting people right from the age of 19. So from there I slowly grew, and I started going for external classes. Once my results were out, I started going for I did my BA of Economics directly at Bombay University, Fort. So that's how my teaching, my educational career, my college career would say started. And then since I was working there for the export department, I grew in the ranks there, and ultimately I became an officer and an assistant for the general manager exports there. So I was working in that department as an export assistant, and completed my studies side by side. The most important thing that I learned while working was to become very courageous. You learn to face hurdles in life. Secondly, I learned to travel alone from Chembur to Nariman Point. Never has my father or mother dropped me or picked me up from anywhere. Even on my first day of job, it was a walk-in interview which I got selected in the first job. My first interview I got selected. So as far as my career is concerned, I have never looked back. I've been very fortunate that all my interviews I have cleared. I have gone for an interview to Nerlon. I had gone for an interview to Johnson & Johnson. I was selected in Standard Chartered Bank, main office. But somehow, where I was working, my salary was good, so I didn't feel the need to change. I completed my graduation that way, but in the course of that period, that's 3 years that I did my BA in economics, I realized that I became a voracious reader because there was nobody to guide me. I couldn't attend lectures in the evening because I used to leave office by 7, 8, there was no fixed time. And my favorite place was British Council Library or USI's library. These were the two haunts for me. And of course all those books which are there around the corner near Flora Fountain, that was the place where I used to pick up second-hand textbooks and read a lot. So this 3 years made me a voracious reader. I could read very fast, absorb things, assess, interpret, and of course I think I delivered. So that's why I said I'm very, very thankful to my teachers, because if the concepts were not strong, if my basics were not strong, it wouldn't have been possible for me. 88 I shifted to Wardha when my husband got transferred there. He was working for Bank of India, so I got transferred there. And like I told you, I resigned my job because he got transferred there, and I started studying my MA Part 1, and I couldn't complete my MA Part 1 because I shifted down there. So 3 years I went into teaching, and that too teaching was given to me because maybe I impressed some other superior unknowingly, because I went to see the school for my daughter, and when I got talking to her, I was offered a job because there was a leave vacancy, and that's how my teaching profession started. Depression today is because of high expectations from parents and from themselves. Secondly, depression is also because of peer pressure. Many a times you find that more than me, it's others who want me to do a certain thing. Maybe I'm not in favor of certain subjects. I do not want to become an engineer, or do not want to pursue arts, or I do not want to pursue science or commerce for that matter. Maybe my dream is different. But because of parental pressure and because of the expectations of the society, basically, children are forced to do things which they do not want to know. I wouldn't like to mention names of the students, but I have a very good student of mine who is BA Electronics from VGTI, but right from 8th standard, her dream was to become an IAS officer. But because her parents both are engineers, they refused to accept the fact that their daughter wanted to pursue IAS. And so my advice to her was that she would become a better IAS officer with a strong educational background, and maybe in a few years down the line she may not want to become a public service person. But today she is pursuing her IAS, she's cleared her mains, and she is waiting for a vivals. So what I found was, many a times it's parental pressure that forces a child to bow down to what the normal pattern in India is. In India, we do not respect skills. We respect only certificates. And I would say, being an external student, it's much more tougher and much more challenging than a person who attends classes. Because here you are probably spoon-fed. But when you are an independent individual who has studied all by herself or himself, your vision, your perspective is macroeconomics and not micro. Because you learn to look at life in a very different angle. And that is why today I am a self-made woman, and I am proud about it. And the cure for that is communication between the child and the parent, not as a parent and a child, but as a friend. If I start communicating with my children as a friend, and I accept the fact that my child is big enough, smart enough, intelligent enough to know what he wants, I think this problem of depression can be solved. Today, education, cost of living, expectations of children from their parents is on the rise. Today it's not only about studies, it's about going to the best classes, wearing the best clothes, getting the best gadgets. It's sort of a competition between every child. Okay? What do I have? I know of cases where even children say that they want to go abroad for a holiday and do not want to visit any place in India because they feel it's beneath them to visit a place in India rather than going abroad. So some way down the line, I feel we are responsible because we are not proud about our own country. We would rather follow what others do. And the sense of pride in our own country, in our own flag, in our own national anthem is not inculcated in our children. And I think the fault lies with us and not with the kids. 5 years down the line, maybe I go into taking workshops, talking to parents, especially parents, students communication, children communication. I feel I have the talent in communicating with parents and children because there is the gap that I find. Being in this place, I feel there is a gap between children and parents, and that's the root cause of all problems. And I feel that through workshops, making the parents realize that it is not, sometimes we need to have a little bit of discipline. Disciplining is very important when a child grows. I feel every child needs that space to grow, but it should be like a flying kite. The manja should be in our hand and the kite should be allowed to fly. The child should know, or the parent should know how high you should allow your child to fly. At the same time, the parental control is there in your hand. I have read a lot on Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which says that right from conception till the child is 7 years old, whatever you teach the child, that child carries it right throughout life. So the formative years is where the mother is required till the age of 7. And Neuro-Linguistic Programming says that a child who is 1.5, 2 years old can study 27 or learn 27 languages. But the modern education system or educators, psychologists say that you cannot load or overload the children. But the latest research that has been done says that children are like wet, dry sponge. The more I pour, the more they absorb. And most of, it seems, every child, when the child is born, we have about 1,000 million cells within us. And out of that, we use only 1,000 cells. The rest are allowed to die because we don't develop it. So that is why Neuro-Linguistic Programming emphasizes the fact that that year to that year, from the time of conception to 7 years, whatever you teach your child, morally, ethically, academically, the child will carry it. So my advice to parents would be that time, be with your children. Because once the child is 8, 9 and 10, they don't require you as much as they require you in the formative years. So maybe all the problems that we are facing now can be eradicated or reduced if we could concentrate on this period, this phase where the child needs us. Ma'am used to always tell us, Mrs. Kordi used to always tell us that please teach the children to keep the classroom clean. So it was necessary that roll number wise every day one child would broom the class, at least the front area in between the bench, and it was thought there is dignity in labor. Any labor that you do, there is dignity. That's why I said in our country, if I am a plumber, if I am an electrician, or if I am a tailor, people do not respect me. If I am an ordinary barber, they don't. But today, if I am a boutique owner, I am a fashion designer, if I am a special hairdresser, or I own salons, or if I am a chef, with the title of a chef, I mean it's the title that is more important, then there is a lot of, appreciation, people look up to you. But the same thing done by an ordinary man is never appreciated. Germany is the only country in the world where teachers are the highest paid. And when the Chancellor of Germany was questioned about it, she said, yes, It is only the best ones who can become teachers, because they are responsible for giving the best to the society. Every engineer, doctor, scientist has been taught by teachers to reach that level. So in Germany, teachers are very highly paid as compared to any other country in the world. Sanskrit, the mother of all languages, is taught in foreign universities. Today in US and NASA, they are actually going through archives of India, where Sanskrit is being actually researched on, because they feel the secrets of the universe, Vedas, carry a lot of things, and Veda is always in Sanskrit. So they feel that Sanskrit must be taught in universities abroad, and I believe in German university they have Sanskrit as a language. Today UK is also starting it. In our country we feel that saying the Gayatri mantra is religious, but in UK, though they follow Christianity, I am told in many schools in the afternoon during recess, the Gayatri mantra is put on the sound system because it creates positive vibes, positive energy, and there's a lot of scientific fact connected to it. I was fortunate enough to travel with some Americans, I would say. We were going to Ajanta Ellora, and we were all traveling together, and when I was at Ajanta Ellora, there was a group of students, some Americans, some Indian students coming from some Bombay college, and they were on a educational tour, and the Americans were, completely mesmerized by whatever the teacher was telling about Ajanta Ellora, which century it was, and how the stupas were built, and the intelligence of the Buddhist monks, whatever the paints that were used were absolutely natural. There was no chemical paints there. So the Indian students, they were clicking photographs, they were scribbling on the walls there, and they had no value for history. So one of the Americans just got up and said, "We envy you Indians." So that when the moment that statement was made, everybody stopped talking. Those Indian students stopped talking, and they were gaping. Why are you talking like that? He says, you can touch history. We learn history through technology. We learn history through books. But you can actually touch it and feel it. You know what has happened so many centuries ago. We do not have so much of history with us. So that's why I tell children, if I split history into two, it is your story. We talk about Panchatantra, we talk about Tanali Rama, we talk about so many things, but history is our own story, so you learn to learn our story. It is your own forefathers' story. So I think this should be taught by all parents, that we need to have pride in ourselves, in our country. And this profession, where I am at the moment, gives me an opportunity to mold minds. Young minds, eager minds, which are actually, I call children living time bombs, because they are always clicking, they are always, alive, ticking. There is a tick going on everywhere. Whereas you work in a factory, because I was working in an office before. So you're working in production. So when you work in a factory, there is no one-to-one interaction. There is no sense of achievement. Yes, your pay cuts are better. Profession-wise, you grow in this. There also you go. It's very lucrative. Teaching is not lucrative. So if you are passionate about teaching, if you are passionate about changing the society, if you are passionate about leaving your footprints on the minds of children, this is the best profession. I won't say footprints on the sands of time, I'll say footprints on the minds of children. Because I even today get letters from my ex-students. They send letters to me in this modern world. They say we send letters because our feelings and thoughts can be penned, and you value it more than what is sent through a WhatsApp message. I have it with me. I have got entire diaries which children have autographed for me. So that is the richest richness that I have, and I treasure it. More than 25 years I've been living in Thane, and what I like about Thane is its history. You have got the Portuguese bell, which is today's popularly known as St. John's, which is the 14th century bell. You have the Shiva temple. You have the oldest hardware stores in Jamli Naka. You have the first railway line, 1853 railway line, which connected Thane with Mumbai. Today, Thane is on par with Bandra because you have all the latest brands, you have wonderful malls, you have a cosmopolitan society, but which is rooted culturally. You have a lot of culture in Thane, and you have one of the oldest Shiva temples. If I am not mistaken, that Shiva temple is more than 400 years old, or even more than that. And the Masunda lake, the waters of the Masunda lake would touch the wall of the temple. Today it has been, the lake has shrunk because of development. Upwan festival has become very popular for the past, you can say, 3 years, with a lot of people coming from Mumbai. And Thane is no more the land, I wouldn't call it a village, because when I had gone to St. Xavier's, parents and children, when I was standing the line for my daughter's admission, asked me, "Oh, Thane, a village where you have bullock carts?" We have bullock carts, we have tongas, we have metro coming up, we have got flyovers, so it's a mixture of old and new. And that's why I feel Thane is mysterious, because we have our roots and we are branching out. So I love Thane.